Hello and welcome again to a podcast. I'm Jordan Herguy and joined again today by my best friend Landon Rudy. We're going to talk about X-Men Legends. How are you doing again today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty swell. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. I still have a job in these times. I just had several coworkers let go today, so it's the time we're in, though, I guess. So
It is.
Yeah. But on a lighter note, video games keep us through this. So
that they do. The Great Escape.
The Great Escape. X-Men Legends. A couple quick points on this for people that don't know these games. They were the precursors to Ultimate Alliance, which I guess was probably a little bit bigger, wider known, just because it had all the superheroes. These were, as the title hints, X-Men focused, X-Men based. And they were for at least the first one was for the Xbox, PS2, and GameCube. I think the second one might have made it to computer. I don't know, you can compare it to like Diablo style, like top-down rogue RPG, whatever the title of this kind of game is.
Yeah, yep, I think that's probably pretty accurate. At the time when I played it, I had no idea that that's what it was. But
yeah, I don't think I was familiar with what Diablo was at the time.
I was, too young of a lad to know what different types of games there were.
Yeah, this was definitely my first type of game like this. And a sweet one. 4-player co-op, I feel like, in this type of game, especially on a console, wasn't common. And it was back in the glory days of couch co-op.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, back then did we have Halo?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, you could play Halo, but the maps for that were just huge to play with each other. So this was actually like... And this was like PvE too, which, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, there's probably Diablo and some stuff like that, but I was a little kid, like I said, and I didn't know about any of those games. And this is a superhero game, and I always wanted to play as Wolverine. So
yep, yeah, it was sweet. I can't remember. Did you have this game first, or I honestly don't remember.
Oh yeah, I don't remember who got it first. I feel like. Maybe I did.
I don't know. I know my older brother had it. That might have been where I picked it up first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll probably just kind of go back and forth between talking about both of them just because, they're very similar. I think they came out only a couple years apart. Obviously, the second one adds on a lot to what the first one started. The first one had like 16 playable characters if you count a short moment with Professor X. And then the second one upgraded just a little bit to like 18 playable characters, which that one was cool because...
I thought it was more than that for some reason. It felt like a lot.
It's especially after playing Ultimate Alliance, where like I feel like there's definitely more characters. Like back then, it just seemed like so many. But I just rechecked these. I just looked them up just to check. But yeah, I read that and it's like, really, there's only like 3 more extra characters.
Because you got to play as like the regular X-Men, but then also, like some of Magneto's followers as well.
What were they called? Not the Dark Ops. Dark Brotherhood.
The Brotherhood. Was that?
Yeah, the Brotherhood. Yeah, that's what it was. We're not playing Elder Scrolls.
That's another podcast.
Yeah. No, that's what was sweet. Actually, probably the reason that it ends up being less characters is because they get rid of some of the ones you played as in the first one and add some.
I'm trying to remember I don't feel like I missed anybody, though, so it must not have been anybody that I really, really cared about. They had all the, like, Cyclops, Wolverine. I'm pretty sure that they had Iceman, didn't they?
They definitely had Iceman. It's the one I always added him to my party. So.
Yeah.
So these games, you had four characters you could choose to have on your team at one time, and that's why I was up to 4 players, so you could all play at the same time. I know one character we had left out that me and my brother missed because Tyler played as him all the time. Was Beast in the second.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say Beast.
Yep, yeah. For us, that's funny because he used to play as him. That's the other cool thing is these games had a versus mode too, the Danger Room.
Yep.
I think Ultimate Alliance. I don't know if they got rid of the fighting each other or if they had it as something else, but in these ones it was the Danger Room. So then, it had an excuse of why you were fighting each other or something because it was just a generated scenario.
Training.
Yep, yeah. But for us, playing against my brother all the time, he would always play as Beast, and I would get so mad because he would spam his, I think it was like cannonball or somersault attack or something like that.
He would just roll all over the map at crazy speeds.
I think you either could turn it on or you had unlimited energy in Danger Room, and he would just spam it and kill us because you just roll all over the place until you're dead. Yeah, so that's why.
Terrible repressed memories. Yes.
They still have nightmares.
Oh, it's terrible. Not in a good way. Yeah, I guess. Did he even play as Beast like in the regular campaign though? I feel like he just did that in Danger Room.
No, yeah. We both playing it as siblings were, we agreed to have 2 characters that we each got to have of the 4. So my 2, I think, were usually Iceman and Wolverine, of course.
Oh, okay.
And what sucked in this game, or at least to start out, is they really leaned into like tank characters or like strong characters, and then your other characters that either were heavy with their powers or something else. So like starting with characters like Iceman or Nightcrawler, especially, I remember, like they're really weak right away. Yeah. And so Wolverine would be this one that I could go through and kill everybody. And then Iceman he'd constantly be the one that we have to revive, and he would pay money. You had to pay money in this. I forgot about that until just now. You had to pay money at extraction points or save points, what they were, to revive people. And we'd just blow your money on usually one of the characters all the time. Yeah. But yeah,
it's funny because like when you were a kid, you didn't really care that much because it's like that's your character and they're pretty good.
Yep. So. Yeah. I guess nowadays I'd probably just swap to another character, but no, back then you had to play as those characters. But no, Tyler's 2 were Beast and Cyclops. We always had him in too. Got to have your leader.
Of course.
Did you have any go-tos that you remember?
I was for sure Wolverine, and see, when I first got this, it was me and my brother playing it, and I think we had like the same thing where we had 2 characters. I for sure had Wolverine, and then I don't really care. I don't think I cared whoever else was there. I think I'd switch between people. I remember Nightcrawler was a big one because, like, I think X-Men 2, the movie, came out around this time and, like, had a really big emphasis on Nightcrawler. So I was like, never heard of him. And then I saw the movie, and I was like, oh, this is super cool.
Yeah.
And I was excited to play with him, but he ended up
He was cool in this game, too.
He was really cool, but he ended up being just like so weak.
He is the one that stands out in my mind. If I think of a character that was difficult to level up because they start out so weak, that's him. I always think of him.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was this one or X-Men Legends 2, where you get abilities that buff the team. Do you remember?
I think both. I think both. You mean like equipment and things like that, you mean the abilities you can level up? Yeah. Both of them you can do that. Okay. I remember Cyclops having like a ton of team-based stuff.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like I talked to my brother recently, and he said Nightcrawler could be really good, but your other 3 people had to have abilities that buff the team. So
yeah,
it makes me want to go back and retry it and just use Nightcrawler for everything because he's so much fun.
Just let everyone else die and solo him through everything super level up. No, that's what's cool about this too. And they kind of phased away from, as they went for, I guess, gaining more of a broader audience with the later games, like Ultimate Alliance specifically is what I mean. They went more away from the getting more equipment. Like in this one, you had 3 pieces of equipment. I think there was like chest, and belt, and boots maybe. I don't know. And then, you were talking about, you can level up all these abilities. And in this one, I think well, the second one more so, you had so many things you could level up that even in the second one you had more than one power you could assign to your power buttons, instead of just 4. You had to think about which ones to swap out and stuff. So that's what I think was really cool, is you could really dedicate into characters which ones you wanted to develop, and then you had the choice of which direction you wanted to develop them in. Whereas like with Iceman, you could do like ice armor, and you could really develop that where people the rest of the team gets like, I don't know if that was one. Was that also one that could happen?
No, I think that was 2. That was 2.
The rest of the team would get the ice gauntlets, or the armor based on which direction you leveled it, and that was cool.
I mean, like, oh man, I feel like 1 and 2 it's hard because I haven't played either of them in a while, but it feels like 2 was like leaps and bounds. Like, whoa, it was just way more developed than number 1. Even though number 1, when it came out, it was like, oh, this is fun. This is really cool.
Yeah. The first one, I feel like they went into it, and I don't know if either multiplayer was like an afterthought because they're like, wow, this is a good idea for team building, or to get people to play together with buying more copies or more than one controller. But they have a lot of focus on solo in between missions, which ended up not being super fun if you are playing together. Because the story for the first one starts with, it's based all around Magma, who's like a new discovered, she's like coming of age. Her powers destroy like the part of the city she's in or something at the beginning. And you end up having to play solo between missions as her, in between all kinds of missions, and that always sucked when you're going through the game multiplayer, because someone just has to sit there while you're walking around talking to people in the X Mansion.
Especially because they like wanted you to explore the X Mansion and go talk, and like there's like little dialogue and stuff that you could do with all the X-Men and do all that, and you could actually spend a decent amount of time, like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. Missions going to do all the dialogue, and you could kind of find out interesting stuff to the story. By doing that,
I liked that a lot. We used to kind of fight over that because it's like I wanted to do that, but then obviously it wasn't fun for whoever was not playing. I think you could unlock characters. You could miss characters if you didn't talk to some people in the match. I think really? Nightcrawler, even if you don't talk to him, I don't think he joins you. I think you have to do the flashback New York. Now, this is coming back to me like right now.
Yeah, but I think you totally do.
Yeah, you have to talk to him, and he remembers like you play his memory of in New York, and they're all in the classic costumes and stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally just watched that where it was a flashback, and you had Nightcrawler and Jean Grey and Cyclops and Wolverine. They were classic 90s costumes, and it was the New York, and they were facing the Sentinels. Yeah.
I think there's one other character that you had to do that to unlock, but I can't remember who it was.
For some reason, I want to say it was like Colossus, but I don't think that's right.
No, I think you are right.
But I don't remember what his mission was. Was it him solo or something?
It might have been. There's another flashback, I think it's Juggernaut destroying the X Mansion or something.
I just watched that too, actually.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure who you get for doing that.
I don't know if it's Colossus or not. It's because Iceman's in his stupid like.
He only has boots.
Yeah, boots.
He
and
has
like
his normal suit on, but he just
looking,
has,
Yeah, there's a lot of good dialogue and stuff.
Beast just looks like a normal guy he just looks like a normal guy. Like he's human. Doesn't have, Oh,
that was weird. But I suppose, like you were saying, this was right around when the movies came out. So they kind of it almost had like the movie style. Like they all they were all in like all dark generic costumes. Yeah. Most of them. And like you could unlock their classic costumes, which that was another really cool thing, is all the unlockables. I think everybody had like at least 4 costumes.
Yeah.
And like Wolverine, for me, that was always like the coolest ones, was to get like his cartoon ones.
Yeah. I mean, staples. You wanted to play as those.
Yeah. That's why they make you earn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, I would say like the story in number one is like kind of it's okay. It's all right. Does the job.
Yeah.
But I think the second one was a lot cooler because it was like Apocalypse, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why you team up with the Brotherhood, because it's like you can't take this on yourself kind of story.
Yeah. And I think that was just, I don't know. I think I enjoyed the story more to that. Like it got deeper and like there's Mr. Sinister, Apocalypse, and like you'd even fight the X-Men that Mr. Sinister turned to his Four Horsemen, like Archangel and stuff.
Yeah, they took the first one and they like quadrupled it for like the second one. Like they blew it up. Like even actually, so the X Mansion's your home hub the whole time through the first one, and then the second one, like you have I think like 4 or 5 home bases that you swap through because because they literally blow up the X Mansion in the second one. It's like the story's like on another level in this. It's like so epic, especially if you've played the first one.
I'm watching the intro cutscene to the second one, and it is even because I don't think they had cutscenes in the first one, did they?
They did. They looked really weird, if I remember.
In the second one, their cutscenes are actually like cinematic, and they look like real good, real good.
Oh yeah, because in these games, especially during gameplay, this was when Marvel was doing the thing where no mouths or the hands didn't even move. Like they were stuck in fists unless the scene cut away. Then their hands were different.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they're like talking like this for emphasis because their mouths don't move.
Yep.
Oh, that was good times. No, yeah, you're right. The cinematics were sweet in the second one. I remember that.
Yeah. They stepped it up in the second one. And who do you get to play through as in the second one? You just get to choose whoever you want, don't you?
It starts out a little limited, but I think you even get to play as Magneto.
That's
as just like a regular party member, which is crazy.
Yeah.
There is like later on ones that you can get, or even like I think the secret unlockable characters like Deadpool or something like that.
Iron Man. It's Iron Man.
Oh yeah, that's the other one.
You have to find all the pieces of Iron Man's armor.
Yep.
And Tony Stark will join you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That was a really hard one to do. I don't think I ever did that.
Oh my gosh, dude! It took so long to find that stuff. I think I was stuck on the last piece, like the last mission. I knew where it was, and I just couldn't find it forever. But my brother told me he is like the guy to have on your team because he has a buff that it accelerates his speed and it makes him stronger. And he is like the Flash on the team. He can run around the map, and his punching is just so fast. It's so good.
Yeah, I remember when we'd play on your copy, I think we would use him in the danger room fighting, which was fun. I think Deadpool was just the one you unlocked when you beat the game is what it was. Which is always weird. Right. It's one of those games where you can unlock him and play back through it, and he's someone you fight later in the game, so you fight him as him.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun though. I mean, oh man, it makes me want to play the second one.
Yeah.
But so cool. I feel like I remember more of the first one probably because it was so much of like a whoa, this is so cool that I get to play as Wolverine, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, opening levels of number 2 where you're fighting on Genosha, is that it? Genosha?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's all cool. The trees and everything, and I don't know if it's because of nostalgia or maybe the character selections or some of the locations. But yeah, I always really liked because in number 2 they added New Game Plus where you could just play through with your leveled characters.
Yeah.
And it would be harder. I wished that they had that in the first one because I really liked playing through the first one a lot all the time. But they don't have that in the first one yet. They didn't think of it yet, so you have to just start over.
All over. Yeah.
But yeah, the first one was always my favorite to replay. I think I've only played through the second one twice. I've started it a ton of times, but I've only completed it like twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I owned the second one. I think I borrowed it from you guys, didn't I?
Probably. And since it was saved on the Xbox, it's just that we had 2 different saves.
Yeah. Oh, so good though.
Yeah. They had these ones had so Ultimate Alliance later had like the save points and you can swap your team party members out. These ones had extraction point. Everything had an X in this. Extraction.
Yes.
The combos were extremes. Yeah, but yeah, the extraction points, everything. It's kind of like Lego Star Wars in the Lego series of games, where everything made sense in Lego Star Wars for how everything works. Like building everything quickly is because you use the Force and everything. Whereas the later Lego games, you're just throwing things together because you can.
Yeah.
But like in this, extraction points made sense because it was the X-Wing dropping off party members and picking you back up and stuff. Which in these kind of games that added like what we were talking about earlier, a little bit of strategy or difficulty. If a party member dies, they don't just come back or anything. And you don't have like revives like you do in some of the later games. They die or pass out or whatever the official game thing is. And then you have to get back to extraction point and pay to get them back.
Yep.
So that made some parts like super difficult because you could go forever without an extraction point and you just had to survive with 1 or 2 party members left.
Yeah. Oh.
And the first one starts off. This is another thing that made it less multiplayer friendly. You start off as just Wolverine, I think. And you have to get like halfway through the first level before a second player can even play.
Yeah, it takes a little bit, and then I think you find Cyclops, right?
Yeah.
And then I think I don't even know if you get more than that on the first level.
I don't think you do.
Way later.
It's only 2-player.
Yeah.
I think the very next mission is the winter one, and then you finally get to play 4 people. But you have to first get through the first level, then walk through and introduce yourself to all these different people in the X Mansion before you can even do another level, and then you finally can get into like the full regular game. The first one had a lot of quirks that were cool, but it kind of limited, I guess, your experience if you wanted to play through it as a multiplayer game. Part of that being like they very heavily leaned into each character's unique abilities. And I don't know if they had a name, but there'd always be things with a floating blue X around it.
Yeah.
Where that meant you had to figure out a character that you could use their ability on. The one that I remember using the most often was like Iceman. If there's like a gap or something, he could, if you brought him along and you shot his freeze beam, he would build an entire bridge across.
Yeah, yep.
Just weird limiting things that made the game more difficult, but it wasn't very straightforward. Like you wouldn't know that. It doesn't tell you.
So something I didn't realize is they had some exclusive players that you could unlock. So like PSP came with exclusive players, Cable, Cannonball, Dark Phoenix, and X-Man. I've never heard of them. But then the PC exclusive, this is for number 2. The PC exclusives came with Pyro and Sabretooth, which would be like really cool to have.
That's sweet. And that was only on the PC?
Yeah, and then N-Gage, which I don't even know what that is, actually did come with Beast, so...
I think I remember reading that a long time ago. I mean, I didn't know what the N-Gage... I think it was a weird... It was another device. I don't even know if it came... It either didn't come to America or it just wasn't like as widespread as regular game consoles. I'm very uneducated on the N-Gage.
But yeah, and then the unlockable characters were Deadpool, Iron Man, and Professor X, which, you know, that's what you get.
Oh, man, that's one thing that makes. Sometimes it kind of sucks. Like I get, someone either a console pays for exclusives or some reason to get it on that console versus the other, but like missing out on whole characters because you own one console versus the other is always an awful thing.
See that? Yeah, that to me doesn't make sense because it's not like I'm going to go buy, back in the day, I'm not going to go buy like a PSP so I can get 4 new characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not realistic. Just make it playable for everyone. Give Give it to everybody. It shouldn't be like that.
Pyro and Sabretooth would have been really cool too.
Yeah. I'm gonna look them up.
And Beast would have satisfied my loss of him from the first game. Though he's in cutscenes and you can talk to him at several of like the hubs between missions.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of the X Mansion for the first one, I think they were able to expand more on that kind of like discovery and talking to people and just as in depth as you get to go into the X Mansion because it was the only hub of that game.
Yeah.
So that's where I guess a bit of a trade-off, changing locations constantly. In the second one, there wasn't really much to do at each hub besides just talk to some characters. The first one, it's like a whole area you could spend, like you were saying, like 5 minutes to 40 minutes at a time.
Yeah, easily. Were we going to talk about Ultimate Alliance in this one too, or is that a different?
Yeah, we can touch on it.
Day?
I mean, if we ever want to go like super into it, we could do a whole thing on it. But yeah,
I was just gonna say it was cool to see this like style of game go even further.
Oh yeah,
and have even more characters outside of like the X-Men realm that you can play as. I thought that was so cool.
That was the coolest part of Ultimate Alliance for me. Was
like
taking this
Spider-Man and Captain America and Wolverine.
Yeah,
like the classics that you wanted.
Yep.
And some of the new ones that you wanted to play as too. And I think that there was actually even DLC for that one for more characters once, wasn't there? Like the Hulk and Venom and stuff.
Yeah, I got the DLC for the first one. And the second one, there was a weird licensing thing where the DLC was a limited time only thing. And I never got the characters while they were out until the game was re-released on Xbox One. I finally got it a couple years ago, but I honestly haven't played into it to even get those characters. But
yeah, and I think those had a couple system exclusive players too. Like I think Xbox had Moon Knight, I want to say.
Yes.
Which like
yeah, I never I didn't even know that was an exclusive. I knew I had him on Xbox, but I don't know if I ever played as him.
I think I was my go-to guy I played around with actually quite a few people, but I think I landed on, I think it was Silver Surfer. Was that one of the people?
Yeah, he was cool. He was really hard to unlock.
Yeah, he was.
I think you had to, in the first Ultimate Alliance, different things you did through the whole game, like changed the fate of like the universe or something like that. And you had to do very specific things and side quests to unlock him. And my first time playing through, I didn't know that, so I wasn't like making sure I did anything specific. I think we technically doomed the universe in the long run the first time me and my brother completed the game. We won, but I mean, like in the long run, something was going to happen, I guess, because we didn't do something.
Yeah. Yeah. He was my go-to because he could do almost anything. He had really good attacks, and he could fly too because
that was sweet.
The surfboard.
That's another thing that they evolved to be better in later games. In the first X-Men Legends, flying was awful. I think you could it's like you'd fly for 2 seconds and it drained your energy. Yeah. It was like treated as a super amazing power, but it was way like.
But I think you were a lot faster flying in the first one, weren't you? Like you could zip around. Yeah.
And I guess the reason they limited it is because in the first one you can really utilize people's abilities and get around where you're not supposed to go at certain times. And I think you could unlock, if you leveled up flying all the way, I think it didn't drain energy or something like that, or it did really? Very slowly.
Yeah.
But yeah, later in Ultimate Alliance, like you're talking about with him flying, it doesn't use any energy, which was a lot better.
Yeah.
I guess some more trade-offs since we're talking about Ultimate Alliance. There's a lot of things that got better and cooler, but obviously there's trade-offs when you do things like that. So the amount of heroes you could play as was significantly bigger in Ultimate Alliance, but they were also cramming in a lot more different series than just X-Men.
Yeah.
and they got rid of a lot more equipment. You could only equip one thing at a time instead of 3.
Yeah.
And developing your character was actually still pretty in depth in the first Ultimate Alliance. It even had different branches depending on which costume you were wearing, which was cool.
Oh, I don't even remember that, really?
Yeah, so I think, again, each character had like 3 or 4 costumes.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically with, like, Spider-Man, his regular costume, you could upload or update or upgrade his, like, web and I think, like, different things. But then if you had the symbiote costume on, you could upgrade a regeneration ability that he didn't have in his other costume because the symbiote heals him.
Yeah.
So that was a cool twist. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I kind of like slightly remember that. Did they have? No, they had the same powers though, like the same abilities.
Yeah, your powers were the same, but like you had
like
different passive
traits.
Yeah, like things that weren't powers, but they were in the background doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Passive abilities. Cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me see talking about this just makes me want to play it. There's so much that I forgot and that I would like to play through again.
Yeah, I got them on the Xbox One in like a bundle 1 and 2. So I mean, we can definitely play through them sometime. I bet Tyler would even hop on sometimes too.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool.
Yeah, so I think story was really cool. I think they got to. I mean, it was definitely epic to play the Ultimate Alliance games, but I think they definitely got to focus on more of a cohesive story in the X-Men Legends games because they were focused on an actual, just the X-Men, and it made sense. Whereas Ultimate Alliance is kind of like they're just pulling everyone together and like, hey, all this stuff is happening.
Yeah.
I forget, was it Dr. Doom in the first one?
Yeah, I think so because it's like Shield against Doom, right?
Yeah.
Or is that the second one?
I honestly don't remember what the second one was. But I remember going, yeah, because in the first one...
the second one was Ultron.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? And it was like hero registration, too, where you had to like actually choose sides.
Oh, yeah, the whole Civil War thing was going on. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That
was actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
it made it so you had to play through the game again because you could only have certain people if you're on certain sides.
Yeah, it wasn't until like the second half of the game that they merged or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was cool. That one was kind of weird because that was when they really started simplifying things.
Yeah. It felt a little bit more kiddish. Like,
yeah.
And I don't really know how, like in what ways, but it felt a little, I don't know, a little too childish.
Yeah, I looked up a couple things to remind myself. You could swap out your hero whenever and wherever. You didn't have to be at an extraction point. And everyone only had like one alternate costume, so they really slimmed that down. And upgrading and leveling everything was super simplified. The point was that you wouldn't be keep going into a menu while you're playing with friends and everything and pausing the game constantly. So you could actually level stuff on the go while everyone else was walking around, which is kind of cool. But it made the menu super simplified. You only had 4 powers to level, and that was really it. They got rid of a lot of fluff and like details and kind of the fun stuff that you like to dig into.
Which is too bad, yeah.
Yeah. But the story was really epic, and the cool factor of it was the mixing 2 powers to make a different kind of attack kind of thing was the focus on that one. Right. Yeah. I forgot what it was called.
Like, I want to say it was like an ultimate or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. Fusion. Yeah, fusion attacks.
Yeah.
Yep. And they kind
of
had
were really epic.
They kind of had stuff like that in X-Men Legends 1, if you remember that. But it wasn't like a special cutscene for it. It would just be like, it would have a special name, and both of the characters who involved, their like little avatar heads would pop up on the top.
Okay, yeah, that's when it would say extreme.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, because and they actually put in the effort of naming every kind of combo you could do, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because even like I can't think of like different ones, but like Iceman plus somebody was usually like a slow down combo where the
Yep.
person gets slowed down plus hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. They kind of
So
always did have something like that. They just, I guess, focused more on it.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, they definitely put more focus on it, and it was like a little animation that they would do too when they did it in Ultimate Alliance too.
Yeah, yeah. I remember specifically ones like, I can't remember honestly all the characters that were in the second Ultimate Alliance because of all these games. It's the one I played the least. But I assume it's something like Human Torch and maybe like Storm, where you could make like
Yep.
a flame tornado.
Yep. I always remember the one where it's Captain America and Iron Man, and like Iron Man shoots Captain America's shield in it.
Oh yeah.
Or you can actually like guide his laser a little bit more or something like that.
Yeah. I remember some of those. I remember some lame ones like Wolverine and Captain America together. They just like run around bashing people.
Yeah. Yep.
Like together. It was weird. Yeah. So yeah, they kind of progressing through all these games, all four of them, X-Men Legends 1, 2, and Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. They kind of go a bit away from character development and story and all the stuff you can dig into to more of an experience and feeling being a superhero and the epic battles and things like that, which there was huge battles towards the end of the later ones. That was also because they were on more powerful consoles at the time later on. But so you take your trade-offs. As a whole, they're each really good experiences, fun games, super fun games. I think I lean a little bit more towards the X-Men Legends games just because those are the ones we played all the time and just because of the detail. And I think of all superheroes, I'm a big, probably just big into X-Men. But the first Ultimate Alliance was really cool.
I would say probably X-Men Legends 2 and then Ultimate Alliance 1 were just the sweet spot between like evolving the game between like X-Men Legends 1, because it seems like Ultimate Alliance 2 stepped back even further than Ultimate Alliance 1. And it was like X-Men Legends 2 and Ultimate Alliance 1 was just that sweet spot in the middle where it had enough in-depth game experience and like character, I don't want to say development, but more so like you're investing into their abilities and traits and certain things like that. Like even though it took a little bit of time away from the game, putting thought into it made it more satisfying.
Yeah, and you can tell that. I guess they're both probably focused towards different audiences. The later ones are trying to grab more of a broader audience for sales, probably more.
Yep.
But the first two X-Men Legends, I mean, when they came out, at least the first one I know, like it had really high ratings. It was received really well. I think it was just maybe it had a smaller audience. Maybe people didn't know about it as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, the X-Men Legends 2 and Ultimate Alliance 1 really are like, sweet spots where you still have all of the like stuff you can really dig into if you want to take the time, because you don't have to if you don't want to. There's all kinds of collectibles in all these games, like comic book art, training missions, like side missions that you can do for I know in the old ones it was danger missions. In Ultimate Alliance, I think it was just like, I don't know, memories or like flashback missions or something. I don't know. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff. For Ultimate Alliance 1, because I think after X-Men Legends 1 is the only one that has one hub between missions. All of the other games you keep switching home bases. Ultimate Alliance 1 had some really cool ones. I think my favorite one was Valhalla.
I forgot about Valhalla. Yeah, the one that I immediately thought of was like being in Tony Stark's tower.
Yeah.
The Stark Tower. Yeah.
Or Doctor Strange's home.
Yeah. Yep. That's cool. Totally forgot about all that.
I don't know about you, but thinking of these games, there's always things replaying a game where you're like, I gotta like drudge through this part because this is my least favorite part to replay every time. For me, it's Atlantis from the first Ultimate Alliance. The swimming the whole time, It's just I always dread having to play through that part if I'm replaying the game.
I agree, because it's like it doesn't really like the swimming part of it doesn't. It goes on for a while and it doesn't feel like natural, you know.
Yeah.
It's like this added environmental thing that really doesn't add to the story, and it actually takes away from the feel of the game, and you're noticing it the entire time that you're playing it, and it's just I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that either. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's almost
Terrible.
like it would have been fine. It's like a small segment, but it's an entire mission and location.
Yeah, it's a long time, and it's just if I could skip it, I would.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put it that way.
I don't remember who made the Ultimate Alliance games, but Raven Software made the first two, the X-Men Legends games, which had that almost like comic book cartoon art. Everyone had like a thick outline, and it was made to look like it was kind of like right out of the comics. I think that was also maybe leaned into because, again, like no facial expressions or movement was happening, so maybe that just helped better. But I can't remember if the first Ultimate Alliance had that or if they went more realistic look.
I think they might have went for a more realistic look, honestly. I was like watching a little bit of a video for it, and well, why not just pull it up, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think they started with a different developer for Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. I think Raven Software might have originally been developing it, but for whatever reason, they didn't continue. I don't even think. Again, I think it's another one of those where the company I don't think is around anymore, or maybe they dissolved into something else.
Yeah.
But
the cutscenes for Ultimate Alliance 1, like after X-Men Legends 2, and the performance of the systems and everything was going up, cutscenes just became so good.
Yeah. Some of my favorite parts of these games in general is the banter that they know that it's just these games are just setting up for these perfect moments, but like just the remarks between, like, in the Ultimate Alliance games, like Spider-Man and Wolverine, like I just remember different people digging at each other. That I think they went a little bit more comical in character in the Ultimate Alliance ones than like X-Men Legends. X-Men Legends, I just remember being a lot more serious, but maybe it's because Professor X is like constantly briefing them.
Yeah, it didn't really go with those thick outlines. It's definitely a little bit more realistic looking. And the animations, like, it just looks a lot more smooth. And I think it is, like I said, they're kind of showing off. I think the systems had more potential, right? So they're definitely utilizing that.
Yeah, because
I mean, it's still cartoony looking, but I think you're going to get that with any kind of Marvel game like this,
Yeah, superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because X-Men Legends 1 and 2 were for PS2 and the original Xbox. And then I think
Ultimate Alliance was for 360, I think.
Yeah, I think it was one of those that came out for both.
Yeah.
The original Xbox and 360, like one of those bridging games.
Yep.
And then number 2 was definitely a 360 game. So, yeah, so it was one of those where, they had the whole console generation leap to improve everything. And that's probably why Ultimate Alliance 2, I think, has the most, graphic enhancements, and that's probably because that one came out truly on the 360. Where Ultimate Alliance 1 was different. I do remember the fire looking a lot better because I did actually get Ultimate Alliance for the original Xbox, and then we got it again for the 360. I remember the fire being something.
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember going to play with you guys, and I'd be like, "Wow, this looks way better on the Xbox 360."
Yeah. So those are always really cool when you go from like playing the worst looking version of something to the better one. You're like, "Wow, this game actually doesn't look that bad."
Yeah. Yeah. It's like surprising too.
Yeah, especially when you're used to looking at the other one for so long, or with these games, I played them a ton. So
yeah,
yeah. The a couple of areas that stand out to me from the X-Men Legends ones, is I always remember the astral plane, specifically from the first one. But I think when we were talking before, I think you do go to it in both games. I just can't remember.
I think so too.
But the astral plane, it's just one of those environments in a game that it's just so out there. Like it's kind of like you can interpret, a game maker can interpret what they think the astral plane would be like in a 3-dimensional kind of like thing. Because I think it's always depicted as just like this purple, foggy, like there's no real.
There's not really supposed to be anything. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just these weird holographic, like moving floor wall environments. I remember it was kind of like I don't want to say trippy, but just like a off-putting world, and it was always really cool.
Yeah, it was weird. It'd be like built in front of you as you were walking through it and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there were some really tough enemies in there.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty wild anytime you were there. And it's supposed to be like that. Like if you read the comics or see the astral plane and anything else, it's like, whoa, all right, this is crazy.
I think that was another one in the first one where you were required to have at least one of your people, I think, be someone that could project themselves in the astral plane.
Yeah, I want to say, wasn't it Professor X in the first one, or was it like Jean or something like that?
I think you go there a couple times. One of the times you do play as Professor X, and that was sweet to me because that was just a really cool bonus because you can't normally play as him.
Yeah.
In that one anyway. And you get to fight, I forget his name, as the boss in like an arena, like gladiatorial setting.
The Shadow King?
Yeah, the Shadow King. That was such a hard fight for me. Especially because you aren't really able to like level to prepare for it. You're at a set level as Professor X for that fight.
Yep. And you have to use abilities that you haven't used, and he's just kind of difficult to wrap your mind around for that little bit of time that you used him for, such a strong battle like that.
Mm-hmm. It felt really cool though. Like you feel really powerful with the moves that Professor X gets, and just the whole idea of it being like this mental fight in like the astral plane. Like it's just a whole mental thing going on. Like he's sitting somewhere doing nothing, and physically, but mentally he's having this huge battle. And it just reminded me of like the cartoons, where Professor X was involved with a lot of like episode things like that.
Yeah.
Which was cool. Because we watched the cartoon a lot. So that was another thing for this game. It was really cool to like have a game where you got to play like almost all these adventures that the episodes always had.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the movies were coming out too, and it was just kind of everything, because I mean, the Avengers, I'm trying to remember when those came out. Either way, it was cool to have the Ultimate Alliance. I forget if it was before the Avengers. It was probably.
I think it was.
Yeah, but it was cool because like then the movies came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like another thing that you could kind of play through.
Yeah, it was the golden time before oversaturated superhero movie market. It was a big deal that all these Marvel superhero movies were coming out.
Yeah,
Batman and Superman had been doing it for a while, but not all these, not all the X-Men and Spider-Man. That was all brand new stuff.
Yeah,
that was cool. Another area that I remember that I think again was in both X-Men Legends was the sewers. And what were they? Were they the Warlocks? Is that what they were?
It was like Marrow and is that what they call themselves, the Warlocks? I don't remember. I know what you're talking about that.
Yeah. That was always I forgot again in the first one. I don't think there was. This is another thing that I don't think was really in the other ones. You meet Healer in the sewers.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that you can, from then on, at extraction points, go and buy health,
you could get
health and energy and stuff.
Health, yeah.
Yeah, because in that, I think that was the
X-Men
only...
Legends 1.
Maybe both X-Men Legends games. That was the only ones where you had limited and usable health and energy. It wasn't just something you collected out of fighting guys.
Yeah.
So if you didn't remember to heal, you'd die.
Yeah. Because it was X-Men Legends 1 or 2 where it was somebody else like that who would upgrade your gear too. I forget his name. He's really...
Forge.
Yeah, Forge.
Yeah, and you met him by when you're walking around the X Mansion as Magma, you talked to him on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things that you had to do solo in that game to unlock and do anything.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. Because for Forge, he had to have you fix the computer, or maybe it's even what's Professor X's head thing called, Cerebro.
Magneto, Cerebro. Magneto.
That's his enemy. His frenemy. He's friends with him. Anyway, you have to like go into the computer as Magma, and you like fight enemies, which are like the viruses or something dumb.
Yeah.
But that was always, I thought that was cool though when I played as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool story stuff. But these games were, I'm just glad that they are trying to kind of bring these games back. I can't remember the company, but they just, they came out with Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch as an exclusive, which is crazy, but it's because Nintendo funded the third one.
Huh.
So it's a Switch exclusive. So yeah, I have that. It is a little bit, it's in between 1 and 2, I would say, Ultimate Alliance. It's a little bit not dumbed down, but less to it than the original Ultimate Alliance as far as collectibles, costumes, things like that. But it's more in depth than Ultimate Alliance 2 was. And there's a lot of characters. It went back to the cartoony kind of look, probably because it's on the Switch, to have it handle it better. But hopefully that, I know there's a fan base there, so hopefully that leads to something to continue.
Ultimate Alliance 4. What?
Yeah, maybe. Right? That'd be sweet. Yeah. This was another one, too, that I feel like was early for at least original Xbox games, where you could play online. There wasn't a lot of games for online co-op anyway. You could actually co-op the campaign online.
Yeah, I haven't actually looked into Ultimate Alliance 3 at all, and I know that you're like kind of pushing it, but I just wasn't sure what the online capabilities were. I feel like I've been let down before with like Mario Party and stuff for the Switch.
Yeah, Mario Party was super disappointing for the Switch. It's definitely on par to like past Mario Parties, but I feel like I expected more out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even play a party with people. It's just like mini games,
and like a small selection
specific mini games.
Yeah. No, there's one thing that I feel like is like could be better about it. Online's really cool. You can play through the story, like the actual story. Yeah. As well as something that's called Gauntlet in Ultimate Alliance 3, which is where you play like, it's almost like the Danger Room scenarios, except there's specific scenarios. And it's how you unlock different characters for DLC. So what's cool about, I think the character selection is really cool, like the character choice in Ultimate Alliance 3. They have a pretty good amount of X-Men. They added some X-Men with some DLC too. So there's like Nightcrawler, Psylocke is always a cool character to me. Gambit's in it, different ones. And then they added with another DLC pack. You can play as Morbius, the vampire from the Spider-Man cartoon.
That's pretty cool, actually.
I was like, I don't think he's ever been something in a game before.
Sidebar. Do you know that they're making a Morbius movie?
Yeah, I saw
With
that.
Jared Leto?
Yeah. I definitely got to see it.
That is so cool. I think it's so cool that they're doing these little anti-hero movies like Venom and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I still got to see that one
cool.
too.
Oh, seriously? Oh,
Yeah.
dude. I own it. I can borrow it to you.
Oh, nice. It might be streaming on something I have too. I don't know. But yeah, no, that movie looks sweet. I want to see it just because I love that they're giving. Like, I thought Morbius was a cool character in the Spider-Man cartoon.
Totally, yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I will see which direction it goes. Like, I don't know. I'm sure they're gonna Hollywoodize some of the character a bit.
Because is it Sony? I'm guessing. I think it's the same.
Probably.
I think it's the same
Peeps.
universe as Venom, isn't it?
Probably. I would imagine.
I could be wrong. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It might not be. But yeah, so the one downside though with Ultimate Alliance 3 for online multiplayer is whoever the host is controls whatever characters aren't filled by other online players. So like the online joining player only gets the one character slot, which I mean I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
But then the host gets to swap between three characters if there's only one other player. Obviously, if there's 4 players, you're all playing just one character. But if it's 2-player, which I've done online before, that joining person only gets one character choice. And the other player... So if you die, for example, you have to sit there to wait to be revived, while player 1 can just swap to someone else if he dies.
So do they have DLC up for this? It looks like they have a couple different, maybe storylines even.
Yeah. I haven't played the newest one, which sounds like it's maybe like an actual story add-on. Because the other ones are more just like danger mission kind of things in the Gauntlet.
Sure.
But the X-Men add-on was cool to me.
Rise of the Phoenix.
And that's the one I haven't played.
There's a Doom one too that's coming out.
Maybe the Doom one. No, yeah, I have the Rise of the Phoenix is the last one that came out. I think there's 3 that are out so far, and the 4th one's coming out, and it's supposed to be the biggest one.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think you can only get
the powers in it look really cool, like the animations for the powers and stuff. I'm just watching one with Iceman, like a giant ice guy.
Yeah, they're cool. It's a fun game. I like the style of it. I feel like the team that made it was huge fans of the originals.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of... It's another one of those, kind of like I was talking about with Jedi Fallen Order, where you can tell the team had a lot of passion behind it.
Yeah.
Like they were really excited about what they were making and what they got to have. I want to look up this company. I don't remember who they are, but I remember them. They've made something else that I know. And I thought they did a really good job with this game. Specifically with just the way that I feel like it goes into more detail than they kind of got away from with number 2.
Yeah.
So, and the size of the team is really cool. So, as far as, especially after DLC, the amount of characters you can choose between. And this is the first one that's come out since the Guardians of the Galaxy has been a movie series.
Yeah.
So you get to play the Guardians.
It looks like you got a couple of them on there. Groot and Star-Lord.
Yeah, you actually start the first several missions. The first mission anyway, you have like a limited amount of team you can play as, and it's only the Guardians that you start as in the opening sequence. Kind of like how in the first Ultimate Alliance you start with like Captain America, Thor, Spider-Man, Wolverine.
Yeah.
You start as the Guardians for the opening part of this game. It's pretty cool. Oh yeah, so it's Team Ninja, so they're Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive people is who made this.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That's cool. Mm-hmm.
And they make all those like I I can't remember what the original game is, but like Hyrule Warriors, where you fight like a swarm of people.
Yeah.
That's
Dynasty Warriors.
Dynasty Warriors. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that team made this game.
Huh.
So yeah, really cool game. It has a mix of X-Men Legends with Ultimate Alliance feel to me because it has that cartoony look.
I was gonna say it looks a lot more cartoony than like the other Ultimate Alliance.
And again, I think they went that direction for making sure the Switch could handle it well with all that's going on in the game. But when you look back at it, a lot of games like Wind Waker, for example, like the cartoonish ones are the ones that age the best because they're not trying to look realistic on the current generation.
Yeah. That's a good point.
It's easy to up-res in HD a cartoon-looking game because it's smooth. So, they actually have like a really good selection of X-Men characters too, and just like at least the first Ultimate Alliance, when you merge different people together, you get different bonuses based on having like all X-Men together.
Cool.
And things.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. And actually, the first Ultimate Alliance, I think you unlock naming a team or like making up a team, superhero team or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, this Ultimate Alliance 3 looks pretty good, actually.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty sweet. I still haven't beaten the story. It's a pretty long story, actually.
Really?
I thought it would be short just because I feel like sometimes games are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I would definitely play through it online again.
Hint.
Hint. I'm just trying to get you to buy a bunch of games.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, I have the DLC. I think you have to get it as a pack, so then you just get everything that comes out.
That's cool.
I don't remember how much it was, but I feel like it wasn't horribly priced, at least back when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe there was a deal on it when I got it. I don't remember. But X-Men Legends were some of my favorite games. Same with Ultimate Alliance. So I was really excited when they added this one to the Switch. I was actually really surprised, especially to see that it was Nintendo exclusive. I was like, wait, what? Good thing I own a Switch.
Especially because it's like Marvel, and that whole dealio.
Yeah. Well,
and
I think
all the characters that you get from it too.
Mm-hmm. I know, like games like Marvel vs. Capcom have always been big. Like the Street Fighter Marvel style games.
Yeah.
But the last one of those that came out, I think it was called like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It did not do well, and I played it and it just feels very sloppy and slapped together. So I don't know if it probably isn't related, but I feel like Marvel games mixed with that one and some other things just weren't sitting at a as popular level. And then this was also a franchise that people have been wanting to be revived, but maybe there's not enough confidence after the second one that it could be popular again. So then they just went with Nintendo funding it as an exclusive, and I think it's done well, at least average.
Yeah. Have you, this is going to be way out of the context of the game that we're talking about, but have you looked at Dragon Ball Z Kakarot at all?
Is that the new one coming out, or is it out?
It's out, yeah. But it is the newest one where you can free roam.
Yeah, I was looking at it. It hadn't been out at the time yet, though, and I wanted to see like how much of an open world game it was going to be, because that's what I honestly always wanted Xenoverse to be.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
That's what I wanted Xenoverse to be as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty open world. I've only watched a little bit of the gameplay where you start off as Piccolo and you're just kind of flying around and stuff, but it looks interesting.
Yeah, I want to take a look at that one, and if it is like as open world as I was hoping, then I definitely want to pick that up. I've always wanted to like an open world RPG-ish kind of Dragon Ball game.
Yeah,
because that'd be sweet. There's so much they could do with the series. Even if you literally just played through the cartoon, like every game is almost just a remake of the story.
Yeah.
So that'd be sweet.
Yeah. Capcom versus Marvel Infinite, or Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. The story looked kind of cool, but how it's like Captain America and Mega Man, and
I was excited because of Mega Man X being in it.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Marvel versus Capcom has actually always done a good job of like representing Mega Man.
Yeah, I think my favorite Marvel versus Capcom was the one where it was, I don't know the exact name. I don't even think I owned it, but it was the one where it was really cartoony. It looked like a old arcade game.
Probably number 2.
Yeah.
I think you can play as Tron Bon in that too.
Maybe
that's number 3.
Totally.
I don't know.
There was like War Machine and Spider-Man and Mega Man. I think it was Mega Man 8. It wasn't Mega Man X.
Yeah. I think Rogue and Gambit were in that too. 2 of my favorite
Yeah,
X-Men,
I think
so.
you're right.
Yeah. You got anything else to add on X-Men Ultimate Alliance?
I don't think so. Talking about it makes me want to play it even more. That's the bad thing. I really want. If I could, I would pick up X-Men Legends too and just play through that.
I got it because I don't have my original Xbox anymore, which is what we had it on. I have a PS2 and I picked them up again. So we'll have to have a good old pizza beer fest and old games or something again.
Cool. Yeah.
Knock that out like the old Battletoads days.
That's right. Get stuck on one part and just keep playing it over and over. Yep.
Oh man.